good afternoon on this beautiful Tuesday. My name is Nogwazi Dlamini and welcome to our beautiful show, HOMESTUDY, a collaboration between the Ministry of Education and Training and Eswatini TV. As always, I am not alone in the studio. I am with my colleague, Lerato Mabilisa. Lerato. Also joining us is our sign language interpreter, Tobile Fagutse. Lerato, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm well. I'm all right. I'm fantastic. How are you?
I am beautiful and great. It's a beautiful day today, if I should say so myself. Lerato, could you please remind our viewers about our social media platforms?
Well, our social media platforms are as follows. We have YouTube, Facebook, where we're live from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. So we're also we're also live on your screens. Yeah. And then we also have our WhatsApp number where you can post questions during the sessions and we're going to answer you. Please remember, dear viewer, do not call, just post questions.
Also, just a reminder to subscribe on our YouTube page so that you get notifications of when we are live for this program.
Okay, Nogwazi, please tell us about today's timetable.
Okay, dear viewers, so today's timetable looks like this. We have English, we have religious education for grade 7 from 2 p.m. until 2:30 p.m. And then we have English language from 3 from 2:30 until 3:08 p.m. And then we have mathematics for Form 3. And then after that, we have English language for Form 5. And then after that, we have Eswatini for Form 5. Can I just repeat that, please? First, we have religious education for grade 7. And then we have English language for Form 3. Then we have mathematics for Form 3. Then we have English language for Form 5. And then lastly, we have Eswatini for Form 5.
Okay, thank you very much for that, and sorry to the viewer for the inconvenience on the timetable on screen, but the correct one is the one Nogwazi has just said.
All right, thank you for that, Lerato. Without wasting any time, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then Lerato will be back with our religious education teacher, Miss Winnie Dlamini. We'll be back right after this.
We may be on lockdown now and we feel like the world is empty. We have paused visiting our utmost favorite spots, admiring the length and breadth of our beautiful kingdom, binging on food from our favorite restaurants and hotels, and seeing the Big Five. Do not worry, it's only a breather. It's a golden opportunity for nature to refresh and restore its beauty quietly. And get ready to welcome you again shortly. While nature revives, let's save ourselves now to travel tomorrow. Stay at home now and get ready for more exhilarating adventures and new memories in the Kingdom of Eswatini. The unparalleled royal experience awaits you with world-renowned cultural activities, breathtaking scenery, and warm hospitality. For now, keep your end of the promise. Stay at home and take precautions, and we will keep ours and offer you the most magical experience yet. The Kingdom of Eswatini, the royal experience.
Welcome back, dear viewer, to the first lesson for today. With me today is Winnie Dlamini, hashtag Mrs. Malinga. We're going to be learning religious education and we're going to be focusing on creation. Good afternoon and welcome to HOMESTUDY.
Afternoon, Lerato. How are you?
I'm all right. Please kindly brief us about what the viewer or the learner should know by the end of the lesson today.
Okay. Our today's rationale is the learner has to know and interpret his or her own immediate environment in relation to God, from the origination from God.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Grade 7s, I hope you have a notebook, pen, pencil, which is all the equipment you're going to use for today. Ma'am, please take us through.
Okay, thank you, Lerato. Welcome, Lena at home. I think you are having a good afternoon, and I think you are going to enjoy our lesson today. Our lesson today is about creation. I hope you have all the learning resources Lerato has just said. Okay, today, dear Lena, we're going to look at our learning objectives. By the end of the lesson, you should be able to describe. You are able to describe the state of the universe before creation. You have to be able to explain how the universe was created. Also, I want you to state what was created in each of the days in creation. And the last one, Lena, we have to give possible reasons why the universe was created. Okay, dear Lena. Now, let us start our lesson. I want you to start, before we start our lesson, I've got keywords. These are the keywords we're going to meet while we are still learning. The first one is create, creation, universe, firmament, and void. Let us explain the words, dear Lena. The first one, create. To create is to cause something new to exist. The second word is creation. Creation, it is the action of bringing something into existence. Then the third word is the universe. Universe. Universe is the sky, moon, stars, earth, and other planets. And the next word we have here is firmament. Firmament is the heavens or the sky. And the next word is void. Void is completely empty. Okay, dear Lena, let us continue with our lesson. Okay, I want you to stand up from where you are. Look at the outside environment. Can you identify natural things that you learned about in previous grades? Okay, dear Lena, now, today we are going to learn how the universe was created from biblical perspective. Okay, let us move on, dear Lena. As we know that before everything was created, before the creation of the universe, we know the natural things. I want you to look at those things. Those things, maybe you have seen what I'm giving you, maybe examples of the things we have seen, just light. Maybe you have seen animals. Maybe you have seen water. Maybe you have seen what? Plants or vegetations. Those are examples of the natural things we have seen around your environment. Okay. Before everything was came to existence, then the universe, how was the universe? The universe was without form. It was void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. Can you take out your RSV Bibles and open Genesis 1 verse 2? When you open that, then you take your pen and write a simple word or a phrase which can describe the state of the universe. We find words like, before creation, the universe was without form. The universe was void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. We can say those are the words that describe the universe. Then how was the universe created now, dear Lena? How was the universe created? Because we say the universe was without form, it was void, and it was dark. And how was then the universe created? Let us look, dear Lena. Okay, when you open our Bibles again, Genesis 1, verse 3. And look, Genesis 1, verse 6. Genesis 1, verse 9. The verse says, and God said, let there. That is verse 1, verse 3. Verse 6 say, and God said. Verse 9 say, and God said. Who was speaking here? Who said these things? Now we are creating the universe. Who created the universe? If we are looking here, and God said. And God said. Wow. And God said. Who said these things? It's God. Which means God was the one creating the universe. What did God say? What did God say? Let there. Let there. Let there. Okay, the word said. The word said. It means that God was speaking. It means that God created the universe through speaking. Now we know how God created the universe. And we can say the character of God, that God is all powerful. Okay, let us move on, dear Lena. And I want you now we are going to do an activity. Take your pencil, you're going to draw a table, and you are going to write the order of creation in your exercise books. I want you to draw a similar table to mine. Look at mine here. There is a table there. You are going to draw a table similar to mine. And while I'll be reading the verses from the Bible, simply take notes. Write simply notes and phrases which describe what God created in each day of creation. Let us start, dear Lena. Genesis 1 verse 3. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw that the light was good. That is day 1. Genesis 1 verse 6. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters. And God called the firmament heaven. That is day 2. Genesis 1 verse 9. And God said, let the waters under the heaven gather together into one place, and let there be dry land. The dry land was called earth, the waters sea, and also vegetation was created on the 3rd day. The 4th day, dear Lena, Genesis 1 verse 14. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens. What are those, dear Lena? The moon, the stars, and the sun. That is day number 4. Genesis 1 verse 20. And God said, let the waters bring forth swarms of living creatures. Those are what? Fish. And let the birds fly above the earth across the firmament. That is day number 5. And Genesis 1 verse 24. And God said, let the earth bring forth living creatures according to their kinds, cattle and creeping things. Those are land animals. Also Genesis 1 verse 26. And God said, let us make man in our image. That is day number 6. Okay, now dear Lena, I think we have found the words to complete your table, or to fill in your table. Now, I want us to make corrections. You look at your table, and again look at mine now. Now, I've got my table. You are going to take a pencil and make corrections. Day 1. In day 1, God, what days and what was created? Day 1, God created what? The light. He didn't create darkness. Darkness was already there. He just created light. He only gave names to the light. He said the light is the day and the darkness, he called it night. Day number 2, God created the firmament, which is the sky and the heavens. Day number 3, God created dry ground, which is land, sea and vegetation. Day number 4, God created the lights in the firmament and the sun, which is the sun, moon, and stars. Day number 5, the sea. God created sea animals, fish, and birds. Day number 6, he created land animals and human beings. Let me draw and underline the things, dear Lena. Day 1 is light. It's light. Day number 2, sky and heavens. Day number 3, land, sea, and vegetation. Number 4, the sun, moon, and stars. Day number 5, sea animals, which is fish and birds. Then day number 6 were land animals and human beings. Okay, what we now, on day number 7, God rested. When we look back at our verses, after each creation, God would say, it is good. It is good. What does that mean, dear Lena? It meant that God was pleased. It meant that God was pleased. Let us look to the next page, dear Lena. That is God's creation. What God created. Wow, it's a very good environment. It is God's creation. Can you have a look on what God created and write down what you see? In my picture, I can see that God created animals. He created plants or vegetations. I can see the sky. Okay, dear Lena, there are other things which are not in my picture, which we say were created by God. What are those things, dear Lena? Can you quickly write them down? Things that you don't see in my picture, which are part of God's creation. Okay, I think we're finished. Maybe those things, there is the sun, the moon, the stars, maybe also the fish. They are not here, but they are part of God's creation. Now let us look further, dear Elena at home, how the universe was created. How the universe was created. We've already said that God created the universe. Why the universe was created. Why God decided to create the universe. Okay, dear Elena, let us look here. Why God created the universe. At first we said the universe was without form. When the universe was without form, God created it to do what? To create order. And when it was dark, just imagine when it is dark, you are far from home and it is dark. How would you feel? You won't feel at peace. And I think God also created the universe to create order and peace. Yes, Lerado, do you have a question?
No, ma'am. Dear viewer, please can we take a little bit of a break, and then when we come back, Miss Dlamini Malenga will continue where she left off. Welcome back, dear viewer, and I hope the break was beneficial to you. We're still learning grade 7 religious education with Miss Dlamini Malinga. Miss Dlamini Malinga, we have a question from the viewer which says, please explain what is firmament. I don't understand.
Okay, thank you, Lerato. As I've explained before we start the lesson, we had the key words, and I've explained the word firmament. Firmament is used in our RSV Bibles. It is the same as heavens and sky.
Okay, thank you very much. Dear viewer, please don't forget to post questions on our WhatsApp number, and Miss Dlamini #Malinga will answer you at the end of the lesson.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Lerato. We were about to learn about why the universe was created, the why part. Then I say to you, before creation, the universe was without form. It was without form. Then God created the universe. Why? Because he wanted to bring what? Order. He wanted to bring order. Again, dear Lena, at home, just imagine yourself, your mother has sent you to a faraway shop, then it become dark. What can you do? How would you feel in that dark situation? You will feel scared. Then you can feel that there is no peace. You won't be at peace. So God created the universe to create order and peace. And in our picture of God's creation, there was light. The picture was so beautiful. God created light so that we can see and appreciate our beautiful surroundings. The next thing we can say is that God wanted to demonstrate his power. His power to create. To demonstrate his power to create. Okay, now, dear Lena, let us move on. Okay, now I have got the character of God. What can we say about God? God is creating the universe which was without form, the universe which was void, the universe whereby there was darkness everywhere. What can we say about God? What can we say about God? Okay, I can say God is what can you say about God? God is self-existing. And God is without what? Origin. God is all powerful. And God is all knowing. Now I think you know about the character of God. Now before we end our lesson, dear Lena, let us look at our assessment. We've reached the end of our lesson, and I want you to look at these questions. The first one says, who created the universe? I think you are writing answers at home, dear Lena. Number 2, describe the state of the universe before creation. That is 3 marks. You describe the state of the universe before creation. The next one, we explain how God created the universe. And my 4th question I'm going to give you later. Let us go back to our questions and look at the answers to our questions. Question number 1, who created the universe? The answer, God created the universe. Question number 2, describe the state of the universe before creation. We've said the universe was without form, void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. Explain That is number 3. Explain how God created the universe. You will remember, dear Lena, we made an example on Genesis 1 verse 3, Genesis 1 verse 6, Genesis 1 verse 9. It said, and God said, let there. And God said, let there. And God said, let there. When a person is saying something, it means God was speaking. The answer here, God created the universe by speaking. Now, dear Lena, I want you to look at this question. This question, you may find it in your, at the end of the year exam. It is an example of an evaluation question. You are supposed to give a positive answer and a negative answer. Dear Lena, I've said and, not or. A positive answer and a negative answer. The important part here, you have to support your statement. Now here is the question. Can you please write down the question? Do you think God was justified to create man on the last day of creation? God is creating man on the last day of creation. Do you think God was justified? Let me repeat the question. Do you think God was justified to create man on the last day of creation? Thank you, dear Lena. I hope you are going to post the answer next time, or you are going to write the answer and meet it in our next lesson. In conclusion, dear Lena, we've learned about the state of the universe before creation, how the universe was created, the order of creation, and why the universe was created. I think you have enjoyed the lesson, dear Lena. Goodbye, Lena at home.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for the wonderful lesson. But before we leave, we have questions from the grade 7s, and one of them says, what does it mean when we are told that God is without origin?
Dear Lena, what they say, God created the universe, whereby it was without form. It was void. It was dark. Where was God? It means that God ever existed. He was there even before the creation. We cannot tell where he originated.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
and
ma'am.
Another question says, could you please explain void for me, teacher?
Thank you, Lena. Void means completely empty.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much. Dear viewer, this is the end, unfortunately, of our grade 7 session, which was religious education, where we were learning about creation. Up next is my colleague Nogwazi and Mrs. Delsile Dlamini, who is going to be taking the JC Learners for English Language, and the topic is tools for effective writing. Thank you very much for watching.
Nine bekunene live laseswatini liyatimbandzakanya nemkhankaso welitiko letempilo namhlabuhlangene i-World Health Organization wekugcina tandla tihlantekile ngaso sonke isikhathi kuvikela kulomkhuhlane lokhona we-coronavirus. Tiningi ke tindlela longatisebentisa kutivikela kuleli gciwane le-coronavirus. Yinye yato lencomekako ukuthi uyisebenzise ngaso sonke isikhathi kugeza tandla ngemanti lahlobile lahambako uphindze usebenzise insipho ngaso sonke isikhathi. Uthathe isikhathi lesinganga 20 seconds kuya ku 40 seconds solo utigezisisa letandla, noma ke usebenzise isanitizer nangabe emanti angekho dutane nawe. Litiko letemphilo likanye namhlabuhlangene liluleka kakhulu sive ukuthi silandzele nati tinyathelo kuze ukuthi tandla tihlale tigcinekile tihlobile ngaso sonke isikhathi. Kumele umandise tandla takho ngemanti lahambako, ushikishe insipho etandleni takho. Yenda siciniseko sekuthi ushikisha totimbili tandla ngalokwanele. Sandla sekudla sishikishe ngetulu kwesandla sesencele, naso sesencele sishikishe sandla sesekudla. Utisebenzise totimbili tandla kuze kuthi ugezeke kahle ngalokuphelele. Ushikishe insipho emkhatsini weminwe yakho netandla totimbili. Uchubeke ushikishe ngemuva kweminwe yakho kuto totimbili tandla. Chubeka ushikishe tithupha totimbili shengathi uyatishwila. Usebenzise iminwe yakho lesonzelene. Shikisha sandla emkhatsini. Kubomake noma ke labo labanetingalo letinze kufanele bashikishe letingalo kuze kuthi emagciwane langabe ahleti khona nawo akhone kugezeka kahle ngalokuphelele. Utiyakade tandla ngemanti lahambako, tesule tome tandla ngethishu noma ke ngendvangu lehlobile. Uphindze usebenzise ithishu noma indvangu kuvala impompi. Yenda siciniseko sekulahla ithishu enzaweni lapho ingeke kube lula khona ukuthi umuntu ayithinze. Nawe ungahlala unetandla letihlobile njalo njalo. Nginxusa onke eMaswati ukuthi asukumele etulu. Sihlanganyele kulomkhankaso wekugcina tandla tihlantekile kuze kuthi sitawuvikela lesifo singasingeni kalula sisive. Siphindze sikhutsate bekunene ukuthi nebantwana labancane basitakale basitwe ngilabadzala ukuthi bagezisise tandla tabo tihlale tihlobile. Lokho kube ngumsebenzi wabo labadzala ukuhlala bahlobise abantwana babagezisise tandla kuze kuthi kungabi lula ukuthi bantwana bangenwe ngulomkhuhlane we-coronavirus. Kuhloba kwami yimpilo yami. Siyabonga.
Imagine your favorite personality or celebrity. Now imagine if they had to do a job that you never saw them doing. You don't have to imagine. We'll show you.
Really?
Asambege is back. This is the show that takes your favorite celebrity and personality and gives them the challenge of doing a job that some people do every day.
Yeah.
Can they do it? Will they crumble under the pressure? Find out in the brand new season of Asambege.
A very warm welcome back to our viewers. If you have just joined us, I am Nogwazi Dlamini and this is Home Study. And at this time, we are doing Form 3 English language. And as always, I am not alone in the studio. I am with Nombumelelo Hadebe and Linda Mamba, who are our sign language interpreters. And I'm joined by the Form 3 English language teacher, Mrs. Delsile Msimangu Dlamini. Did I say that right?
You did it quite right. Excellent.
All right, thank you. How are you doing today?
I'm feeling great. Thank you for asking. How about you,
I'm great today, thank you. To my understanding, we're doing tools for effective writing today.
Yes, you are.
What do you expect your Form 3 learner to have learned by the end of today? Could you just give us a little bit about that?
Today I expect the learners to be able to use the different tools for effective writing. And whether they are writing to argue, persuade, explain, or writing imaginatively to entertain readers.
All right, so they must get their pens and notebooks ready.
That's right.
Form 3s, you've heard, get your pens and notebooks ready. And just a reminder, Form 3s, please feel free to WhatsApp us any of the questions that you might have. Our WhatsApp number will pop up at some time. Please feel free to use that. We are also live on YouTube and on Facebook, so you can feel free to ask questions there if you want. Mrs. Dlamini, over to you.
Thank you very much. Okay. As I highlighted earlier, the lesson objective. Today, at the end of the lesson, learners should be able to employ the different tools for effective writing, whether they're writing to inform, explain, or they are writing to argue or persuade, or when they are writing imaginatively to entertain readers. Learners should also be able to communicate appropriately with a clear awareness of purpose, audience, and register. In addition to that, learners should be able to develop ideas coherently and observe the conventions of paragraphing, punctuation, and spelling. Okay? Becoming a good reader is very important, and you must make every effort to ensure that your written work is on point and that it is grammatically accurate as possible.
Mrs. Dlamini, can I just interrupt you? Ngicela ukuthi umane ukhulumele etulu. Yes, please, so that our viewers can hear you.
Thank you so much. These include correct expressions, paragraphing, spelling, punctuation, and use of correct register, vocabulary, sentence construction, and sentence variation. What does this mean, dear learner at home? It means that whatever type of text you are required to write, your aim should always be to express your ideas clearly and in a way that the reader can easily understand. Whether you are writing a formal piece or you are writing an informal piece, that is the rationale for this lesson today. You know what? A writer is the same as a chef. A chef is someone who cooks, and wherever you cook, you need to know the recipe for cooking whatever dish or meal, and you need to know the right ingredients. In writing, you need to take into consideration diction or word choice. Language is the tool one has to use in order to communicate effectively. As a writer, you need to work with words in many interesting and varied ways as possible, so that your competence, this is very important, you need to be competent and creative. Your creativity in the use of language is enhanced when you write or choose the correct words. As a writer, you have specific words, phrases at your disposal, and you should make good use of such words. What is so special about these words? These words, dear learners, convey meaning to the reader. For example, instead of using a simple word like angry, you have infuriated at your disposal. You need to understand that infuriated has a special effect on the reader. While reading increases your knowledge and your experience in many topics, and it enables you to develop the language you need to write. Let us now learn a look at the specific words you are supposed to include in your writing. Sorry. Here are the words. Instead of using angry, I expect a learner to communicate effectively by using a word such as fuming or boiling with anger. These words, they create a certain effect on the reader. I can just imagine someone at a boiling point, angry to the extent of being at a boiling point, a dangerous person. So, dear reader, instead of using just angry, make sure that you use fuming or boiling with anger for effect. Other words could be, instead of using old, you can use ancient. Instead of using old-fashioned, you can use archaic. Instead of just using a weak word like painful, you can use a strong adjective such as excruciating. This has a special effect on the reader. Instead of just using sad, you may use sorrowful, somber, or gloomy. These words paint a certain picture on the reader. Another word that is powerful or a strong verb is, instead of using afraid, an adjective, the adjective afraid, you can use petrified or paralyzed with fear. You can just imagine when someone is paralyzed with fear, so afraid that this person is motionless. That person is transfixed in one position, they cannot move. Dear learner, this is the kind of words that you are supposed to use to make your reading very interesting to the reader. Let us move on to the second point, dear learner. The second aspect that we're going to look at is sentence construction. Sentence construction, dear learner, is another tool that you have as a writer. Writers do not only use words to convey a meaning, but they also use different sentences to make meaning and to achieve. This is always the role, that you need to achieve a certain effect on the reader. As a writer, you should have knowledge of simple, compound, and complex sentences. You know what, dear learner at home? Proper construction of sentences can never be overemphasized. Let us look at this sentence that I have before me here to illustrate. This passage is rich with language. I just want to look to illustrate language in action here, or language at play. We have this sentence: the red ant was in a savage mood. Look at the way the writer has chosen savage instead of just saying it was in a what? Violent or aggressive. Here is the savage. It ran this way and that. It's shining ruby red. Please do appreciate the use of the adjective ruby. The writer wants the reader to have the exact color the red is. It has a dark red color, and a ruby is a precious stone. It means this red ant, according to the reader, is also beautiful. Okay, armored body on its shining ruby red armored body was the only bright spot in the gloom. Again, here the writer has used gloom instead of just saying total darkness. This is the beauty of the language, dear learner. You should always make sure that you use these words. The poor, the insect are being described as poor here. The poor doesn't mean that they don't have money or they are not wealthy, but this word has been used to evoke sympathy from us readers, because the adjective poor means deserving pity or sympathy. And again, the inserts were The poor insists that way its natural prey. We have prey there. Instead of saying its natural food, the writer has chosen the word prey to refer to what? What is a prey? A prey is an animal or a bird that is hunted for food. They were still hibernating. That's another beautiful word that the writer has used. Instead of saying they were sleeping, he says they were hibernating. They were in a deep state of sleep, or buried in their pupal stage. This is another word that is rich. It jagged its head restlessly to and fro and clasped its jaws. Let us look at the verb jagged. I remember, this word brings nostalgia to me. I was in Form 1 when I came across this word. I didn't understand. I was reading the PAL. I didn't understand what the word jagged meant until I looked it up in the dictionary, and then I understood what was going on. It's a sudden movement. So instead of saying it moved suddenly, he said it jagged, so that there is a special effect on the reader. Its head restlessly. Please look at that spelling. It's not recklessly, but it's restlessly. It's like this end is agitated. It cannot stand still. And there's that verb clashed, which appeals to our senses. Our sense of what? Our sense of hearing. You can just imagine that sound happening. And again, dear Lena, another interesting part about the language here is the use of the word jaws. Instead of saying mouth, which is just a simple word, he said jaws. And this has a special what? Effect on the reader. I hope, dear Lena at home, you're still following. Let us move on to the other aspects. Okay. Sentence construction. Let us continue. Let me just bring your attention to the first sentence. Notice how the first sentence immediately captures our attention as readers. The red ant was in a savage mood. The first sentence makes you, as the reader, want to read on to find out what happens next. Moreover, the fact that the ant has been personified, it's like it's a human being. It was in a what? Savage mood. Also captures our attention, as it is a very description of the ant. In the same passage, dear Lena, there are special words such as hibernating and pupal, which indicate that the writer knows something about the world of insects. Another thing that you should do as a learner when you write is to variate your sentences. Use a variety of sentences. Use simple sentences, use compound sentences, and use complex sentences. This is illustrated in this passage I read. Let us dissect and analyze the sentences, dear learners. Okay, here it is. The first sentence, the red ant was in a savage mood, is what we call a simple sentence. Why is it called a simple sentence? It's because it has a subject and it also has a what? A predicate. That's what a simple sentence consists on. Let us look at the subject and the predicate in the simple sentence that we have before us. The ant is the subject. Was in a savage mood is our what? Predicate. In the same passage that I read, there is a complex sentence, and here is our complex sentence. It ran this way and that way, its shining ruby red armored body, the only bright spot in the gloom. The above sentence can be said to be a complex sentence, as it is made out of what? Two sentences. Let us look at the first sentence. It ran this way and that way. This is a complete sentence. Why am I saying this is a complete sentence? Because it carries a what? A complete idea and a complete thought. There is no way when you talk to someone and say it ran that way, this way and that way, and that person will not understand. Okay, let us move, dear Lena. We're still on sentence construction. The second sentence in that sentence that I've read is, its shining ruby red armored body was the only bright spot in the gloom. This is another complete sentence. It has a what? A complete thought and a complete idea. The last sentence in our paragraph is the compound sentence. And here is the sentence. It jacked its head restlessly to and fro and clashed its jaws. Let us dissect the sentence, dear learner at home. The above sentence is a complete sentence because it is made out of two complete sentences. And these two complete sentences are joined by what? By the conjunction and. It jacked its head restlessly to and fro. That's a complete sentence, my dear learner. The second one, it clashed its jaws. It's another what? Complete sentence. Okay, I hope we are following, dear learner. Let us move on. Then another tool that is at the disposal of a writer is punctuation. We can never overemphasize the power of punctuation. Punctuation makes writers to make their meaning clear. The following sentences, dear learner, they illustrate this. Let us look at these example we have here. There is the hitchhiker said the police is an utter fool. The hitchhiker said the police is an utter fool. The hitchhiker said the police is an utter fool. In these sentences, dear learner, the words are in exactly the same order, but the punctuation makes the meaning very different. In the first sentence, the hitchhiker is said to be the fool. He is the one who is the fool. In the second sentence, the policeman is the one who is said to be the what? The utter fool. I hope you are clear. Another aspect, dear learner at home, that is very important when you're writing a composition is the introduction of a conversation. Introduction of a conversation. It can greatly improve your work. Including what people say helps to give life to the story, and it shows that as a writer, you have a what? A good command of the English language, which is very important when you are now writing an examination. For this reason, it is important, dear learner, for you to know how to punctuate direct speech. When punctuating direct speech, there are three key things you have to do. The first one is to what? Place inverted commas around the words which are spoken. The second one, start a new paragraph for a new speaker. And the last aspect that you should take into consideration is that start a paragraph with what? Direct speech. Okay, I hope you are following, dear learner at home. Let us move on to an example where this is what? It is illustrated. I have this example in front of me. What happened, my little one? Asked Musa's father. That's a sentence on its own. That is a paragraph on its own because there is one speaker there. And look at the way the direct speech has been punctuated. The writer here has written inverted commas to indicate where they have spoken. Even here, direct speech is written. It is inside inverted commas. And in all the other sentences. Okay, Nogwanda?
It's actually Nogwazi.
Nogwazi, sorry.
No, it's okay.
It's a beautiful name. I won't forget it from now on.
All right, okay,
Yes.
thank you. Can we just take a little bit of a break? Viewers, we'll be right back right after this.
Okay.
Nkosi yabesizwe msidisi nkosi yamdanyela emabhubhu esiniphisa lezodwa yakho besiyekela lokubuyela lokuhle. London fish Nkosi mtheleng amanti mfana mtheleng amanti
hayi amanti ngivuse esimolise
ngilozi yabezizwe
ngishaya kana wiki so
ngilozi Nebukhat Nezaria emandla akhe makhulu kakhulu
hey
sana ngilozi Gabriel
hey wena ngithemba mprofeti siyamsebawona simolise msakuthinthana nalo mahafu lo kweshelele msakuthinthana nalo muntu ngithi mina nangiwala angiwiswa ukuthi unemandla lo mntana lo lemandi lokhuluma ngayo into lebefanele ayisebenzise ekuqaleni ngiwiswa kumangala ukuthi ukhona umfulo ongaphatha lomunye etandla ngathi gesi
negogo ngilapha spiritual not physical lethi tandla ta Gabriel ngilozi lenkulu
lelela la wena mthana mina ngithintwa ngumuntu ngumangaliswa ngilokho ngithintsa nje la emadolobheni ndonke ndzawo donke kuyashunyayelwa simolise ukuthi akugezwe tandla ungakathinti lokudliwako qala ngekugeza tandla ubuye endlini yangasese emthoyi nawubuya ugeza tandla ugeza kuntshintsha umntana geza tandla angifaka nangiloto sithinta yena
Sinjalalo ngakestani.
Mina ngiyelapha.
Unani wena?
Lapho ufuna ukusikhulisa koko nami ngangevereten koko bathi nana sifonyalo bathi coronavirus koko COVID-19. Bathi koko sihambiswa ukuthi abantu abagezi tandla koko. Because lesifo lesinothimula. Siphuma lamaphepheni aso koko ahlala atandeni sokuqhawula lo moya njani manje bafuna ukugeza tandla. Namhlanje liba uthi ungasinzi ungagezi tandla.
Vile ke lokuthi every after 20 seconds you must wash your hands with running spitting water.
Hayi shothi uvele enye red. Uwasha tandla for 20 seconds. Yebo ufake amanti ufela hambako ufake nensipho
yebo
geza bese uyadomisa kahle le
tandla hayi simolisi
lokala redo lendlulako
emanti lakhe jimako nensipho likhambi lelo kukhona ngathi indvodethu uthine lesifundzile simolisi naku kwagogo naku
hako
fertilizer wagogo ngihle ngithi puchu ngithi kwethu lokho fertilizer uyakubona
hayi gogo sanitizer.
Kudla kwempilo, food for life. An agricultural program that shows how a farmer brings food to the nation. Agribusiness, small farm business ranging from animal keeping, soil testing, planting and harvesting, livestock business, latest farming tools, and the success stories of local farmers that has succeeded in the farming business.
Kudla kwayo le tawuphinza ukudle nasekufika isikhathi sebusika. Kudla kusemhlabathini, konke lesikudingako sitathola emhlabathini.
Kuyaphileka. Uvame ukuthengisa leti letinvuna letilungela ukuthi setiyohlala.
Kudla kwempilo for agriculture and farming development. On Eswatini TV with the farm boy Samgelo Vilagati Samvini. Kudla kwempilo, food for life. A very warm welcome back to our viewers. If you have just joined us, we are doing the Form 3 English language class with Mrs. Dlamini, and we're doing tools for effective writing. Am I correct?
Yes.
All right. One of your students has a question, actually. The question is, What is the difference between a compound sentence and a complex sentence?
Okay. The difference between a compound sentence and a complex sentence is that a complex sentence is made out of a main clause and a subordinate clause.
Okay.
What am I saying here? A main clause is a sentence that can stand on its own. It means when you've written that sentence, it carries a what? A complete thought and idea. The subordinate clause, on the other hand, cannot stand on its own. Let me just make an example. If someone says, "While I was away," there's that question which hangs. So what? That's a subordinate clause. It cannot stand on its own. But when someone says, "While I was away, my house was broken into," now that's a sentence that has a what? A complete thought. This is a complex sentence. It has a what? A main clause and a subordinate clause. These two need to marry in order to what? To make sense to the reader.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, maybe just to ask another question. The other question from our viewer is, how do we see a predicate in a sentence? And please speak a bit
I'm
up.
going to try my best, Nogoezi.
All right.
Okay. A subject, you said a subject and a what? And a predicate. A subject is the thing that is being talked about.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Like I made an example here, the ant. The ant is the subject.
Okay.
Then the predicate is the part of the sentence that carries the verb. It has
Okay.
the verb. That's
Alright.
the predicate.
All right. From threes, I hope you got that part right. We shall continue with tools for effective writing. Mrs. Lamini, it's over to you.
Thank you so much. We were about to look at an example of a text that has been punctuated using what? Direct speech. Let us look at this sentence. "What happened, my little one?" asked Musa's father. Let me just highlight. There is inverted commas there for direct speech. Even here where the father finishes his utterance, there is a what? An inverted comma. That is where you put the inverted comma to what is being said. There is a question. Since there is a question mark, you don't have to put a comma there. Then moving on to the next sentence. Musa's face was puffed up and his lips were cracked. "Who did this?" asked his father. Again, the inverted comma that indicates that this is direct speech are there. They are before what is being said and after what the speaker has said. That is the correct way of punctuating what? Direct speech. Let us move on. "It was timber." Again, dear learner at home, the inverted commas are where in between what is being spoken. The boy replied what? Painfully. I'd like to draw your attention to that you need to even express yourself appropriately. You can just imagine now here the boy what? Answering in a painful way. "Temba Dlamini." And when the boy nodded, he continued. There is a what there? There is a comma. How did he do it? Again, now we put the inverted commas for speech. "Last week you beat him, didn't you?" That is where we close the inverted comma. That is where the speech ends. The boy replies, Musa replies and say, "He ambushed me." Again, look at the inverted comma, dear Lena. That is where they are inside the speech, what is being said. Musa replied, "And besides, I was hungry and extremely weak." That is where the conversation ends and the inverted commas are there. Okay? The last tool that is at the disposal of you as a writer is the narrative technique. What do I mean by narrative technique here? It is the point of view that a writer can use. An important decision that you have as a writer to make is, am I going to write about myself or use the first person singular? When you are writing about yourself, the point of view that you are supposed to use is the first person singular I. Why? Because you are writing about your own personal experience. This is what it is, your story. Or the second point of view that you can use is that to be an observer. You can choose to be an observer and write about other people using what? The third person singular she or he. Or you can even be innovative and give these people names. Is it Nomsa's story or is it Mandla's story? If the title requires you to tell a story about something which happened to you, then you are more likely to use the first person singular I. When you are given classwork, dear learner, or you are writing a test or an exam, it is very important to interpret. It is very important to interpret the question and instructions accurately. You do what is called a question analysis. What is a question analysis? A question analysis is the process that you need to go through as a learner. When you read the question carefully, after reading the question carefully, you identify the key words in the question and you find the meaning of the key words in the question so that you have a better understanding of the instruction or a better understanding of what the question requires you to do. Okay, dear learner at home, you know what? You are not going to escape that easy. I have an exercise for you here. Write a paragraph about your first day in Form 1. Remember, a very important point to remember, dear learner, is that this is about no one else but you. It's key. If you write on the third person singular, I will not blame your teacher to give you a 0/20 for JC. This is about what? It is your own personal experience, so you have to use the first person singular when you write, whether you like it or not. Okay, please do follow instructions. Writing is a productive skill, and the best way to improve your writing is by reading. Elena may be asking, where do I get material? We're on lockdown. Maybe I also live in a remote area. In my area, there is no library. Don't be anxious, dear learner. We do have material. Every JC learner is doing literature. It's compulsory. Literature is compulsory at JC level. So you do have access to what? To your literature in English books. That is where, dear learner, you can what? Expose yourself to language in what? In action. Read. This is where you are going to get all these tools I've been talking about. You are going to see specific words that the writer has used for effect. You are going to identify the way the writer has used a variety of sentences. You are also going to be able to look at the way that writer has punctuated the sentence, and then you are going to put it into practice as well. Okay, as you read, dear learner, please make sure that you pay particular attention to register, style, sentence construction, and sentence variation, punctuation, the vocabulary that has been used, and the narrative technique.
All right. Yes. So that's the end of the lesson.
Yes, it is. Nogwazi.
All right. Could I just ask a question? Maybe it's from me, or maybe the viewer also wants to know. Could you please repeat on narrative technique if you can?
Okay. Okay. I said as a writer, you have a different point of views that you can use when you express yourself. You can either choose to write from a first person point of view, or you can use to write from a third person point of view. When you write from a first point of view, you use the first person singular I, which indicates that you are writing a story about yourself. you are writing about your own experience. Whatever happened to you. And in writing so, you should be able to use language creatively to express yourself clearly, appropriately, and accurately. Okay. Then another point of view is when you choose to be a what? An observer. And write. This is where you choose to write about somebody else's experience. This reminds me when I was at high school. It used to be a problem for me to write on a first person singular because I thought that the teacher would say this experience happened to me, yet I was writing creatively. So most of the time I will choose to use the third person singular so that she will not blame me or you know what, so that I can be safe. So this is another point of view that you can use. But what directs you to use a first person point of view and a third person point of view? It is the question. Always make sure that you do a what? A question analysis. When the instruction says write about a story about yourself, that is the way you need to write using the what? The first person singular I, the first person point of view, because it's about you. The story happened to you. You are writing about your personal experience. But when the question says, you are writing about somebody else's experience, that is where you are free now to use the what? The third person singular, where you are going to be writing about Manda's story or about Nomsa's story.
Okay. All right. I don't know if you had finished explaining, but
yes, I have.
Okay. All right. Thank you very, very much, Mrs. Lamini. I hope our Form 3s got a little bit of that, tools for effective writing. Up next is my colleague Lerato Mabilisa with the Form 3 mathematics class with Mr. Kenneth Nzimanze. So Form 3s, do not move. We'll be right back right after this.
Eye on SADC, telling the African story from an African perspective. This is the only news program bringing you news, views, and interviews straight from the countries where it happened. Join me in Ndishishi Hamfungu as I take you on a journey across Southern Africa. That's on Eye on SADC, news of SADC from SADC.
Welcome back, viewer, to the third session for today, and we are with I am with Mr. Kenneth Nzimanze and Zanele Mota, who is going to be our sign language interpreter. Alongside her is Linda Mamba, who is also going to be our sign language interpreter. Today we're going to be learning about the surface area of a prism. Good afternoon and welcome to Home Study, sir.
Good afternoon, Lerato. How are you?
I'm alright. Please kindly tell us what you'd like the viewer to have learned by the end of the lesson.
By the end of the lesson, the viewer should have been able to calculate the area of a prism. That is to say, all the sides of a prism. They should also have been able to work out the area of a cylinder.
Oh, okay.
The cylinder consists of a circular part as well as a curved surface.
Okay.
Those are the things they should have been able to get.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Please can you kindly take us through for the lesson?
All right, learners. Thank you, Laura. Before we go forward, we are going to take one step back. In the last lesson on the same topic, there is an area that we left out, and that one was on the cylinder. a cylinder looks like this. It has a side like this, which is circular at the end, and another one on the other end. What happened last time is that we did not work out the volume of a cylinder. So what we are going to do today is exactly that. That's where we are going to start. So we are going to start off by looking at the cylinder that we have right in front of us. This cylinder happens to have a surface at the top, which is circular. We said when we calculate the volume of a pyramid, of a prism, what we do is we first have to do the surface area, and then we multiply that by the length. In this case, the surface area is a circle, as I have already said. But what we are given here is the diameter and not the radius. We know that if we are to calculate the area of a circle, we have to find the radius first. So we know the relationship radius is equal to diameter over 2. Our diameter is 10 centimeters. On dividing that by 2, we get 5 centimeters. So now we are ready to work out the area of the circular part. So now we go on to calculate the area of the circular part. It is given by pi r squared, where the r squared means we are multiplying the radius by itself. We already have the radius. The radius is 5. So it means all we need to do is multiply the 5 squared by the pi. So what we are going to get is pi is pi, and then we are going to multiply that by 5 times 5. But the pi is 3.14, and then we multiply that by 25, and that should give us 78.5. The 78.5 is the curved area. The area of the part at the top, the circular part, which we are now going to use to work out the volume of this cylinder. Now we have the answer, which is 78.5, which is the area. We multiply that by the height, which is the length, by the way, which is 20, and the answer that we get is 570. Remember, Lena, that when we do this, we have to remember what the units are. Yes, that is what we are going to get. Now, having worked out the area at the top, we have been able to multiply that area by the height, and that has given us the volume. So the volume of this is this 1,570 cubic centimeters. That is if we are using 20. Next, we are going to go on and look at a cuboid now. again, we go back to a cuboid, which we saw the other time. This cuboid is not going to be used just as a cuboid. We are now getting into the lesson that we want to do for today, and that is about working out the total surface area of a cuboid. By the way, we should realize that a cuboid consists of faces. That is one face. This face goes together with another face at the back, which looks just like it. This one that I've just shown, which is at the back. So when we work out the total surface area of this, we have to find the area of the side at the front and the side at the back, and then there's also going to be this side, that side, the side at the top, and the side at the bottom. So we have 6 sides in total. What we are going to do is we are going to take them in pairs, because the area of the side at the front is the same as the area of the side at the back. So let us work out the area of the side at the front. That area is going to be 8 times 4. Then the next one is going to be, so we are going to have 8 times 4. That is this one. It is followed by the next one, the one at the top. The one at the top, the area ya corner is 8 times 5. And then we also have the area of the side, the shaded side. It is going to be 5 times 4. At first I said these sides go in pairs. So that means actually the answers that we are going to get for these have to be multiplied by 2. And then this one gives us 32 times 2, which is 64. This one gives us 2 times 40, which is 80. And this one gives us 2 times 20, which is 40. Now we can add all these and get, let me see. So we can add all of these and get, for the first one, we are going to get 120 plus 64, which is 184. Remember, learner, this is just the working. Because this is just the working, the units have not been included. Now I'm including the units. The units are square centimeters. That is what the area of the whole thing is going to be. This is one prism, which we call a cuboid. Next, we are going to look at a case where we have a triangular prism. We are still working with prisms. Now we are looking for a triangular prism. That's the area that we are going to be working on now. What is interesting about this one, learner, is the fact that we have this side, which is going to be exactly the same as that side. We then also have that side at the back. Let me emphasize the one at the back. Let me highlight it. The side at the back is that one at the back. We see that, in fact, for us to calculate the total surface area we should be able to work out the areas of the individual sides and then add them together. The first one we can see is 4 by 3. This is this one, which is a triangle. This one. It is exactly the same as that one. Then we have that one at the bottom, that is at the base. Then we also have that one at the back. Now, straight away, we can see that we are going to run into a bit of a problem when we try to calculate the total surface area here. Why? Because we do not have this length. We don't know what that length is, which should be making this area possible to work out. So because of that, it means we have to start off by working out the area of we have to start off by working out the length of this line. Now, learners, you will remember that this, because it is a right angle triangle, it is possible for us to work out the area based on the fact that we can find this length. This length that we are looking for, is what we call the hypotenuse in a right angle triangle. That's what we are looking for. So I've just extracted that side and I have represented it here. So we have our 4 here and we have our 3 there. So in order for us to be able to find the hypotenuse, we have to remember the hypotenuse squared is equal to, in this case, 4 squared plus 3 squared. Then h squared is going to be 16 plus 9, which is 25. It is still, this one is still h squared. Why are we doing this? We are doing this to find the length of the other side so that we are going to have a full complement of sides to be able to work out the total area. So now that we have h squared is equal to 25, we have to change the h squared into h. We are not interested in h squared. We want h. So what do? H squared is equal to 25. That means if we take the square root of this side, we should also take the square root of that side. And then what are we going to end up having? We are going to end up having h is equal to plus or minus 5. Remember, learner, every time you find the square root of a number, you are going to have 2 signs, plus and minus. But because we know that we are interested in finding h, we are going to have it as h squared. Let's start afresh. We are going to have h squared is equal to 25, which leads us to taking the square root of both sides. We have the square root of h squared is equal to the square root of 25, which is equal to plus or minus 5. And I said what you do is you take the positive one, because this is a height we are talking about, or a length. Actually, it's a length. The hypotenuse is a length. So now we are going to go back to our prism and let us complete it. We now know this is a 5. Because this is a 5, we can now say we are going to be able to work out this area, that is the front area. So the front area consists of a rectangle which is made up of what? Which is made up of 12 times 5. And then we go on to look at the other two. I said we now concentrate on these ones at the ends, these ones. We are just going to calculate the area of 1, which is half times 3 times 4. That is half base times height. And then because it is the same as this one, we are simply going to multiply this by 2. And then we add again. To that we are going to add the other side. So let us start at the top again. We have 12 times 5 plus half into 3 times 4. But of course I said we have 2 of those. Now we also have to look for the areas of the other 2 sides. Let me show which sides these are going to be. Let me first show you which ones we have done. We have done this one, we have done that one, and we have done the one at the front, the one for which we first had to find the length of the hypotenuse. Now, what are we left with? We are only left with the side at the back, which is also going to look like that, and then the one at the bottom. How do we go about now? We want to calculate this one at the base first. We are going to add 3 times 12. And then again, now we are doing the one at the back, which is also going to be given by 12 times 4. Let us see what happens. This was supposed to be 12 times 4. Let me see if we can work this one out. First, this 2 will cancel that one. And then we are going to have, for that one, we are going to have a 60. And then we are adding a 12. And then we are adding a 36. And then the last one is a 48. So let's see what these are going to give us together. This is going to give us 96 plus this. Is it going to be 1? Let me see what it is going to give us. This should give us 120. And of course, the 120 does have units. Remember, Lena, what were we doing? We were finding the total surface area of this prism, this rectangular prism. Now that we have done that, we have to remember that the units will always be square units, square centimeters. So in summarizing, I will just say in this particular case, what we have done is we have tried to look at all the sides. We have tried to identify all our sides. In this case, how many sides do we have? 5. 2 on the end have exactly the same area, and then we have the one at the base, the one at the back, and the one and which other one, and this one at the front. So we have 5 sides in total, and they give us the total surface area of a prism. And this prism is a triangular prism. Now that we have done the triangular prism, let us look at what else is possible. This is a prism as well. This prism is called a cylinder. This cylinder has this surface at the front and that surface at the front, at the back. This was supposed to be at the back. So right now this is the front and this is the back, but that is how it is. And then we also have the curved area. What I want to stress is that this is a prism, and what I'm going to do is to...
Sorry, sir. Can you please go back to the drawing of the triangular prism? And because some learners think that the answer is wrong, the 120, and they think it's probably 156. So can you please recalculate it?
Please let us, with the help of the house, I hope I'll be able to do it. So let us start afresh. Let us take this side and that side. Together they are going to give me 3 times 4. And how many of those do we have? We have 2 of those, right? And then we also add, now I'm taking the one at the base. The base is going to consist of 12 times 3. And then next we are going to take these ones we have already taken. We are going to take the one at the back. We take the one at the back, and which other one is missing, and the one at the front. I will show which one the one at the front is. So let us do the one at the back. The one at the back is going to be 12 times 4. Now let me show the one at the front. The front one is this one.
The front one is 12 times.
And it is 12 times, remember we had a 5 there. 12 times 5. Let us see what happens. It's a triangle. It's supposed to be half base times height, by the way. This one is supposed to be, remember, it's supposed to be, because it's a triangle, it's supposed to be half base, that is times 3 times 4. And then because we have 2 of that kind, we multiply by the 2. So let us see what happens next. And then we are left with 12. And then here we have 36 plus 48 plus 60. The last one is 60. So let me see if I'll be able to do this mathematics correctly now. So because we are trying to verify, this is where we are going to start. For me, I would take the 60 and the 36, and they would give me a 96. And then the 96 plus 12, it gives me 108. The 96 plus the 12, 108. So 108 plus 48. This is a 6. We carry a 1. Now I have a learner who is really following. Thank you ever so much. This is excellent. I'm very happy that I have people who are following. Thank you very much. Yes, that's perfect. This is one learner who was following. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you, Ayesha and Kwapena on YouTube for following on the lesson. Thank you very much.
Yes.
We love you.
So now we are going. So where were we? We were looking at our. This is where we were, right? So we had said this is a cylinder. This is a cylinder. and a cylinder is a special kind of prism. We said it is going to have a circular end like that and another circular end this side, my side. But on top of that, there is also a curved area. This curved area. So when we are talking about the total surface area of this cylinder, we are going to be talking about the areas of the sides plus the area of the curved part. So let me dismantle it so that you will see what it gives you.
Sorry, sir, what
Yes.
are you doing?
I'm trying to open it up so that my learners can see that indeed we have a curved area as well as these on the sides. This is one of them. And then we have another one this side. Another one like that. And now we are left with this one.
Okay.
So this is what
practical
now
maths.
it looks like.
So this
now.
is practical maths.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is. So now we are going to look at this one and we are going to talk some more about this and these two ends that we had at first. The one thing that I need to say straight away is that, remember, this is what formed part of the curvature of the cylinder. This is what formed part of the curvature of the cylinder. And now, when it comes to surface area, this is the surface we are talking about. The area of this thing doesn't change. Whether you fold it like this, or you hold it upside down, or you do whatever with it, the area is not going to change. But now, remember, when we were holding it like this at first, what were we looking at? We were looking at something circular here. Something circular this side as well. But when we are holding it like this, now we are looking at something that looks more like a rectangle, which means in this particular case, the area of this rectangle is supposed to be equal to the area that you would get even if this thing looked like this, all rolled up like this. That's what we want to talk about. Now, you are going to remember, learners, that we had these two discs. We are going to remember that we had these two discs. So, in fact, if everything were to go according to the way I wanted, it would look something like this. But of course, it cannot stick because I have cut them out. So it would look something like that. So it would look something like that. I want you learners to remember now that we have, remember this is a surface. I've labeled it 1. Here is another surface. I've labeled it 2. Which means now this other surface is going to have to be my 3. It will have to be my surface number 3, this one. So, in calculating the surface area of that, we are going to start off by looking at all 3 of them, these. And then we are going to say, do we know how to calculate the areas of this? Luckily for us, these 2, I know, they have a diameter of 10. So, my discs, I've just drawn one. It has a diameter of 10. That is one disc, a diameter of 10. So that means the radius is going to be 5. That is for one. But once I have got for one, it is also the same even for the other one. Next, we have to go back to saying the discs now that we have, this one, like this disc here, these discs, they come in the shape of a circle. So we have to work out these areas by remembering that these are circular. So the area of a circle is given by pi r squared. So that is the area of a circle is given by pi r squared. We have said pi is 3.14. We are multiplying that by 25, and the answer is 78.5. That is for one disc. Now remember, how many discs do we have? We have 2. The 78.5 has to be multiplied by 2 to make sure that we are talking about. So the area of the discs which are circular, area of the discs is going to be, both of them, it's going to be 2 times 78.5. I'm hoping that my learners at home are working this one out as to what it is going to give us. Okay, so the area of the disc is going to be that. But now we are not done. We have to find. We have to.
157.
157. That is what we are getting. But we are not done. We have just worked out the area of the two discs. Yes. We still have a problem. We have not solved the problem of the curved area, this curved part. But let us remember, when this was like that, what happened? The length of this rectangle now this is a rectangle, right? The length of that rectangle was at one point the what? The circumference of this of that circular disc, right? So the circumference of this circular disc is supposed to be same length as this. So because of that, we have to remember something now. How do we calculate the, let me note that we got 57 for the area of the two discs. So we already are done with the area of the two discs. So what do we do next? We find the area of curved surface, area of curve. So the area of the curve we can only find by remembering that this is now a rectangle. The whole thing is a rectangle. But the rectangle consists of a part that was once a circumference. And then also you have this particular rectangle. So we have the length and then we have the breadth. But where is this breadth supposed to come from? The breadth is going to come from what used to be the height of our cylinder. So we started off with a cylinder. The cylinder had a disc at the end, and that disc took on a circular shape, which means the circumference of the disc translates to this. So this now is the circumference of the disc, and what used to be the height is now the length. So we want to find the area. So what we are going to do is we are going to work out the length, which is going to be the circumference. C is equal to pi d. That is the circumference. That's what we have to find, the circumference. What is the circumference going to give us? The length of, in this case, it is also going to be equal to the length that we are looking for. Then, having found the length now, we have to, the pi d is going to give us the length. We have to multiply the length by the breadth of our new triangle now. And then this is going to give us the area, the curved area. So now that we have the 157 from the two cylinders, we are now looking at working out pi times 10, which is the diameter, and then that is equal to 3.14 times 10, which is 31.4. So then the 31.4 is it gives us the circumference. That is also the length of our rectangle. So we now take the 31.4, we multiply it by the length, which in our case was 20, and then 314 times 2 is going to be 628. The 628 is going to be the area of the curved part. This is the area of the two discs on either end. Now what we need to do is to add these two together. So let me note this one as well. 628. We are doing 628 plus 157, which is better if we do it. Yes. This is 15. Carry 1. It gives me 785. What are our learners saying? Yes, so that is how we work out the total surface area of a cylinder, which is a prism.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for being with us today. Next is Form 5 with Nogwazi, who is going to be taking you through for English language with Miss Winile Dlamini, and the topic is the art of writing. So for the YouTube followers like Mangoba Brilliant, please stay back because Nogwazi will be back with Miss Dlamini.
The Basic protective measures against the new coronavirus. Wash your hands frequently and thoroughly with soap and water, or use alcohol-based hand rub. Maintain social distancing. Maintain at least 1 meter distance between yourself and anyone who is coughing or sneezing. Avoid touching eyes, nose, and mouth. Hands touch many surfaces and can pick viruses. Once contaminated, hands can transfer the virus to your eyes, nose, or mouth. From there, the virus can enter your body and make you sick. Practice respiratory hygiene. Make sure you and the people around you follow good respiratory hygiene. This means covering your mouth and nose with your bent elbow or tissue when you cough or sneeze. Dispose the used tissue immediately. If you have fever, cough, and difficulty breathing, seek medical help early. Stay home if you feel unwell. Follow the directions of your local health authority. Stay informed and follow advice given by your healthcare provider.
Buhle bethu imvelo yethu. Buhle bethu tindzawo tethu. Indalo yashada nemasiko kuhle kwethu. Kuvakasha kwethula umthwalo emahlombe ethu. Hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe indlela uyikhombe etindzaweni tethu. Temvelo nembukiso ungcebeleke uthathe netithombe. Lalela ke nangu sonkondlo waseswatini akutekela ayibeka indzaba ayihlela kuhle kwelijaha lishela ngiyakutshela diningi tindzawo longativakashela hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe la phana lapha kuvakasha kuyayelapha enhlitiyo kanye nemiqondo kuyawuphumuda ugcinisa buhlobo nebungane losebundenga ndenga with a trip to Mantenga Falls or a sip among friends of Sibebe Brew on Sibebe Mountain, or perhaps your cup of tea is backpacking and horse riding, sightseeing the seamless streams and springs that stream across the gorgeous valleys of the mountainous kingdoms of Eswatini. We have you covered. Hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe. Buhle bethu yimvelo yethu. Buhle bethu ngabuthola nasebantwini bethu.
A very warm welcome back to our viewers. I am Nogwazi Dlamini, and you are just in time for the Form 5 English language class. As per usual, I am not alone. I am with our sign language interpreters, Nombumelelo Hadebe and Zanele Mota, and also joining me right now is the Form 5 English language teacher, Winnie Dlamini. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. Nogwazi, how are you?
I am awesome. I am great. So I'll ask you a little bit about today's lesson. What are you expecting the learner to have learned by the end of this lesson?
Dear learners, today we are going to be looking at the art of writing at the end of the lesson, we're expecting that the students or the learners at home are able to display relevance. They're able to display development of ideas in their writing.
Okay.
And also they're able to show a confident use of style and confident use of accuracy as far as language is concerned.
Okay, all right. Our viewers at home, just to remind you that we are live on YouTube and on Facebook, and feel free to use our WhatsApp line and on YouTube as well to ask any questions that you might have. Just to say, Mangoba brilliant, and I think it's Mohammed. You guys are not late. Do not worry. You are just in time for the Form 5 lesson, which is English language. So no worries, you guys. You can still catch up on some things. Winnie, I'll give it over to you now.
Dear learners, today we are going to be looking together at the art of writing. Just like the phrase suggests, writing is an art. Writing is a skill. Therefore, you have to build yourself up. You have to make sure that you have all the skills that are needed when you are being given a task that way you are expected to write. Today, I want us to go over these two major things. What are you graded on in any piece of writing where you are expected to show your language? You are graded on what we call content. Content is very, very important. What do we mean when we talk about content? When we talk about content, we are talking about your relevance. Relevance to the task that you have been given. Any piece of writing, whether you are given a friendly letter, whether you are given a letter of complaint, or you are given a speech to write, remember, whosoever is receiving that text is looking for content in your writing. So what is entailed, learners, when we talk about content? Whosoever will be reading your work, they are expecting what? Relevance. You must show relevance in whatever you are writing. You must also show development of ideas. It is very imperative to develop your ideas accordingly. You are also, dear learners, graded on what we refer to as language. Somebody may ask, when they are talking about language, what is it that is entailed under language? What is it that the teacher, or we may say the examiner, is looking for when they are talking about language? Dear learners, when we are talking about language, we are talking about the style. Style, how you present your writing, how you congregate all your skills. That is where we see your language prowess. That is where we see your language artistry. That is where you demonstrate how good you are in the language. Also, under language, we are talking about accuracy. My dear learners, we need to be accurate when you are writing, because any error that you may have in whatever you are writing, it may impede understanding. Remember the major goal. Whatever you have written, the next person must understand clearly what you intended to say. Let us continue, my dear learners. What we are going to do now, I am going to unpack for you matters of content. I said, just to recall, under content, we are talking about relevance. Under content, we are talking about development of ideas. But now I want us to be specific. What is it? When the expectation is on relevance, how do I achieve relevance in what I have written? Dear learners, this is what you need to ask yourself. Any task that you have been given. Any question that you have been given in paper 2. Ask yourself this primary question. In my response, am I fulfilling the task? It is very important. That is what we're talking about when we talk about relevance. Am I fulfilling the task? Because the task will appear where in the question. So it's not like just because I can write, you get a question in front of you, you are going just to write anyhowly. You have to strictly adhere to the task. So you ask yourself this primary question. Am I fulfilling the task? How do you make sure that you have fulfilled the task? We talk about purpose. When we talk about purpose, make sure that your response, it fulfills the purpose as determined by the task. The purpose will appear where in the question. So whatever you are arranging, whatever you are preparing, have it at the back of your mind. There is a purpose that I must fulfill at the end of the day before I present my piece of writing either to the teacher in class or to the examiner who is waiting for my script. So dear learners, when we talk about relevance, we are talking about purpose. Fulfill the purpose of the task in your response. Secondly, what is it also that is entailed under relevance? We're talking about audience. Audience, my dear learners, it is very, very important. When you write a letter, there is an audience that is implied in the question. You're writing a letter of complaint. There is an audience that is implied in the question. For instance, you're also asked to write a speech. There is an audience that will be implied by the question. So make sure you are relevant to the target audience as suggested by the task. You look at the task. Focus on the task. It is the task that will suggest to you the kind of audience. Next, dear learners, we've looked at purpose. We have looked at audience. What comes next? It is the what? The register. Remember, we are still on relevance. We are trying to do what? To fulfill the task. When we talk about register, you are talking about the level of language, the level of formality. A friendly letter has its own language in terms of level of formality or informality, and then a letter of complaint has another level, its own play of language. So dear learners, you use the level of the language suggested by the task. If you're asked to write a friendly letter, you're writing for a friend. So the level of informality there, we want to see it at play. You are writing a letter to the editor. Probably the last recipient will be a minister. A minister is not your friend. So the level of formality there is going to be different. So make sure from the task you are able to unpack all these things. Now, dear learners, I want us to be demonstrative. Let's take, for instance, you are given in the task a motivational speech. Here is a question. Write a motivational speech to be delivered to high school leavers. I want us to see at play purpose, audience, register. Motivational speech. The moment you see the word motivational, I'm not writing a political speech. Your mind now zooms on the language for motivation. I'm being asked to write a motivational speech. I must perform the task. At the end, the product must be a motivational speech. What is it to motivate? Purpose. You are expected to inspire. You are expected to create positive reinforcement in your speech. Remember, fulfillment of task. You are motivating. It is a motivational speech. You are expected to reassure. You are expected to stimulate interest. These are just examples, dear learners. Remember, the purpose is to produce a motivational speech, which means the audience, after hearing the delivery of the speech, they must come out motivated. They must come out with a fresh energy. You need to put them in that zest, in that desire to achieve whatever is being said in the speech. Now we move on to the audience. What does the question say? The task says high school leavers. What does it mean? The content that will be in the speech now. I will not be writing about other matters that do not relate to high school leavers. So you start thinking about the things that are relevant to high school leavers. What is it that may motivate a high school leaver? You're talking about the what? The target audience. So it kind of brings your work together. It solidifies what you're writing. It becomes strong. It is, steady. Why? Because you have considered these things. Now we move on, my dear learners, to the register. You are writing to high school leavers. It is a what? It is a speech. So you know the level of the language. You're not going to be using very big words that will be beyond the understanding of the what? Of the learners. So your play of language will be within their range. Remember, you are motivating. Let us move on, dear learners. Still on relevance. Am I fulfilling the task? You want to be as relevant as possible. How else then can you achieve relevance? The content, what you have written, whether it's a speech that you are given or any other genre that you are given, it is important, dear learners, to be persuasive. You must sound convincing. Don't be haphazard in your writing. Don't be unsure in your writing. We need something steady. We need something that is nestled. We need something that is sure. Demonstrate your confidence. So now quickly, I want us to look at a few things that you may include in your writing that will be strong, that will make your writing to be strong, your writing to be convincing, your writing to be powerful. There's what we call in the English language rhetoric questions. Or you can say rhetorical questions. What are these? These, my dear learners, are thought-provoking questions that we use to emphasize a point. Rhetoric, you are not expecting an answer, but you are engaging the recipient at a psychological level. You want them to think about what you have said. Let's take, for example, using a rhetoric question like this one. Could we do better? I'm not expecting an answer, but I want you to think about what I have just said. Another way to be convincing or to be persuasive is what we call emotive language. That is language that appeals to the emotions. Why? Your writing must engage all my five senses. You must immerse me. You must soak me. I must feel, dovetailed in what you are writing in every sensational way, my entire being. So now when we talk about emotive language, It appeals to the emotions of whosoever is reading your work. Let's take an example. Imagine the day when all that you have always wanted comes to pass. Imagine. I'm sending the reader into an imaginative mode. Think about this. So there is a kind of sensation that you're taking your reader to. Think about this. The day when all that you've always wanted comes to pass. Let us move on, dear learners. We're still on relevance, using or rather looking at how you can be persuasive, how you can be convincing. The use of imperatives. What are imperatives? Imperatives, my dear learners, they are commanding statements. Commanding statements. You are commanding a kind of response from whosoever is reading your work. For instance, I say, this is doable. The moment you say, this is doable, what am I doing? I'm making you forget the difficulties that may have maybe engulfed you at that moment. I am motivating you. I'm making you to feel like, oh, this I can do, this is reachable, or this is within my means. And there are many other, dear learners, examples that we can use that are imperatives. Then also we look at exaggeration. Exaggeration is overstating something for persuasion. Let's take this example. We have heard a million reasons why it cannot be done. Million reasons. We know that literally it's not possible, but you are exaggerating. You are making the reader to imagine there's so much that has been said about this issue, but you have made the decision without what? Wavering. So, dear learners, this is part of relevance. This is part of being persuasive. This is part of being what? Convincing. You try and employ these features. Let us continue, my dear learners. We are still on relevance. We are still on content. Now we are dealing with development of ideas. We said under content, there is what? There is relevance. There is what? Development of ideas. Your ideas in your writing must be well developed.
Thank you very much, Miss Winnie Dlamini. Was that oh, okay? All right. Unfortunately, we have run out of time, so we have to end your lesson right there. From fives, we have run out of time, but do not go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this with our Siswati lesson for Form 5 with Miss Nombumelelo Shabangu, and we'll continue with the subject at another time. We'll be right back.
Nine bekunene. Live laseswatini liyatimbandzakanya nemkhankaso welitiko letempilo namhlabuhlangene i-World Health Organization wekugcina tandla tihlantekile ngaso sonke isikhathi kuvikela kulomkhuhlane lokhona we-coronavirus. Tiningi ke tindlela longatisebentisa kutivikela kuleli gciwane le-coronavirus. Yinye yato lencomekako ukuthi uyisebentise ngaso sonke isikhathi kugeza tandla ngemanti lahlobile lahambako uphindze usebentise insipho ngaso sonke isikhathi. Uthathe isikhathi lesinganga 20 seconds kuya ku 40 seconds solo utigezisisa letandla, noma ke usebenzise isanitizer nangabe emanti angekho dutane nawe. Litiko letempilo likanye namhlabuhlangene liluleka kakhulu sive ukuthi silandzele nati tinyathelo kuze kuthi tandla letigcinekile tihlobile ngaso sonke. Kumele umandise tandla takho ngemanti lahambako, ushikishe insipho etandleni takho. Yenda siciniseko sekuthi ushikisha totimbili tandla ngalokwanele. Sandla sekudla sishikishe ngetulu kwesandla sesencele, naso sesencele sishikishe sandla sesekudla. Utisebenzise totimbili tandla kuze kuthi ugezeke kahle ngalokuphelele. Ushikishe insipho emkhathini weminwe yakho netandla totimbili. Uchubeke ushikishe ngemuva kweminwe yakho kuto totimbili tandla. Chubeka ushikishe tithupha totimbili shengathi uyatishwila. Usebenzise iminwe yakho lesonzelene. Shikisha sandla emkhathini. Kubomake noma ke labo labanetingalo letinze kufanele bashikishe letingalo kuze kuthi emagciwane langabe ahleti khona nawo akhone kugezeka kahle ngalokuphelele. Utiyakade tandla ngemanti lahambako, tesule tome tandla ngethishu noma ke ngendvangu lehlobile. Uphindze usebenzise ithishu noma indvangu kuvala impompi. Yenda siqiniseko sekulahla ithishu enzaweni lapho ingeke kube lula khona ukuthi umuntu ayithinze. Nawe ungahlala unetandla letihlobile njalo njalo. Nginxusa onke eMaswati ukuthi asukumele etulu. Sihlanganyele kulomkhankaso wekugcina tandla tihlantekile kuze kuthi sitawuvikela lesifo singasingeni kalula sisive. Siphindze sikhutsate bekunene ukuthi nebantwana labancane basitakale basitwe ngilabadzala ukuthi bagezisise tandla tabo tihlale tihlobile. Lokho kube ngumsebenzi wabo labadzala ukuhlala bahlobise abantwana babagezisise tandla kuze kuthi kungabi lula ukuthi bantwana bangenwe ngulomkhuhlane we-coronavirus. Kuhloba kwami yimpilo yami. Siyabonga.
When I first came here, I was indecisive about being an economist.
So what I'm hoping to achieve here is when I get out of here, I want to put my idea and actually make it come to life.
Asikwemukele mbukeli ehlelweni HOMESTUDY losembi kwakho kulesikhathi samanje nguye nokwaziwa kaDlamini. Angihambi ngedwa ke mbukeli, nginaye thishela waka form 5 loto sifundisa Siswati. Thishela wethu nguNompumelelo Nompumelelo Shabangu. Yes, Ncesi. Nompumelelo Shabangu unjani namuhla?
Ngiyaphila nokwazi unjani wena?
Ngiyaphila nami impela loluhlala.
Awushaya sona.
Lonje mayisiyabonga. Engabe kulesikhathi samanje engabe bafunzi batabe bafunza ngani? Ngicela nje usiphe isihloko sanamuhla.
Nokwazi ngiyabonga namhla ke mfunzi ekhaya utawufunza ke ngesimondzaba.
Okay.
Sitawukhetha ke lunye lihlobo kwale timondzaba letiba khona eSwatini. Sitawubuka ke idiary.
Okay.
Yebo nokwazi.
Engabe ekupheleni kwalesifundo u expect ukuthi umfunzi utabe kuyini la ifundzile kakhulu?
Shothi ke ekupheleni kwalesifundo sibheke ukuthi umfana akwati kusebenzisa simo lesithide bese ke sobhala ke leyo diary ngalesimo la katabe aniketwe sona.
Okay.
Shothi lapha ke kule diary sifuna ke lokuthi siceceshe ke likhono lalomfunzi lekuthi akhone ke kutihlela encena sekasebenza futhi ke nasempilweni yakhe nje yamalanga onke.
Okay, ngiyethemba ukuthi ema form 5s are ready. Angakhululeka ke ema form 5s kusiputa imibuto enombonelweni yethu yaka WhatsApp kanye nakhona ka YouTube. Nompumelelo asingachithike isikhathi so ungachubeka nesifundo.
Ngiyabonga nokwazi. Shothi ke kwekuqala singakangeni ke kule diary yethu umfunzi umcoke ke ukuthi utati ke tinhlobo ke tesimondzaba lesitawubona lesitaba nato la lapha ka form 5 sinayo ke incwadi ke yebungani sinayo ke incwadi yemsebenzi sinayo ke idiary lena lesithi ke sitawubuka yona namuhla bese ke kuba khona inkulumswano kube khona ke inkulumo bese ke sekuba nembiko weliphephandzaba kepha ke kulesifundo sethu sanamuhla sithite ke sitawugcila kakhulu ke kulo kulesithi ke yidiary ake sesishakutele ke mfunzi ekhaya singene kuyo ke idiary singachithi isikhathi sithi ke bumcoka ke bekufunzisa ke le diary ke mfunzi ekhaya ukuthi sikhaliphise ke likhono lakho mfunzi lekuthi ukwadi kutihlela ikakhulu ke emsebentini nasempilweni yakho emalanga onke nayi ke imigomo lesitayibuka ke uma sesifunza ke le diary sithi ke ekupheleni kwesifundo ke mfunzi sithi sifuna ke ukuthi wena ukwadi ke kuchaza ukuthi iyini idiary ngumgomo wethu wekuqala bese ke utawukwadi ke kuchaza ukuthi ke ibhalelwa ini idiary kulandzele ke umgomo lolandzelako lothi ke utawukwati ke kunika tinhlobo temadayari lesinawo lapha kaSwati utabe soyakhona ke kunika ke timbawu tedayari ngicabanga ukuthi ke sitawugcila kakhulu kule timbawu tale dayari siphinze ke siyibuke kwekugcina ke mfunzi ekhaya sigadzeke ukuthi siyibhale phela le dayari uma siyibhala ke le dayari mfunzi sitawusebenzisa sibitelo lesingiso sisebenzise lulwimi lolungilo siphinze ke sisebenzise netimbawu tekubhala njengoba konke kubhala lesikwendako esiswatini kumcoka ukuthi singathi sibhala nje sinhlanhlatheke sibhale nje noma ngayini asilandzele ke letimbawu letifanele asesingene ke mfunzi sibuke ukuthi ke ini idiary idiary ke ngumbhalo lesithi unika emaqiniso ngicabanga ukuthi ekufunzeni kwethu siswati sisasuka naphasi sike sayabona letinye tinhlobo tekubhala lapho khona siqamba khona indzaba kepha sithi lapha idiary ke sifuna kubona kuba yinvo lene maqiniso idiary ke isenjetiselwa ke kubhala tinvo letendeka emalangeni onke noma ke kubhala luhlelo lwetinvo letitawendiwa ngicabanga ukuthi nasikhuluma ekuqaleni emfunzi sishilo ukuthi umqoka bekuthi umfunzi akwadi ukubhala idiary ngulokuthi ke sifuna ukuthi licecesheke lelikhono lakho lethi ukwadi ukutihlela ndawuphuma ngaphandle niyawusebenta umcoka ukuthi ukwadi kubhala khona tinvo takho titawuhamba dishaye tithi ngqo bese ke lokunye ke la ukhona ke kutihlela evikini noma ke esikhathini lesithite lesikaliwe ngicabanga ukuthi kumqoka lokho ngoba na ungakwadi ukuthi hlela shothi leso sikhathi sakho lo uniketoswa lo slot lesikaliwe ngeke ukhone kusisebenzisa kahle bese ke siyachubeka ke ukuthi lokunye lesithathola kule diary uthi na uyibhala le diary yakho kulolunye lihlobo uyayifaka ke imiqabango yakho ngale okolotabe ubhala ngakho ufake ke imivo yakho sibone ukuthi na ubhala leso simo lobhale ngaso bujabulile yini noma bukwatile noma lesenteke ngaso sikhathi sikuphethe njani kumqoka ke ukuthi kuvele konke lokhu uma usabhala le diary yakho lokunye ke kufuneka sitivele ke netifiso temuntu ngelusuku encenye utawusho ukuthi encenye bengifise ukuthi ngabe lelilanga lami liphethe ngalendlela lena kuko konke lokhu lesekwendekile asichubeke ke mfundzi sibuke ke tinhlobo te diary luhlobo lekuqala ke lwe diary ngunali lesithi yi diary yemsebenzi lokubhekeke ukuthi wendiwe shothi lona ke le diary lena ngilele faka ke ukuthi hlela enveni lo sengakayendi asithi nje uthishela unang Miss Shabangu ungakayi emsebentini utihlela kanjani ngelanga kuthi namuhla ngilwesihlanu ekuseni ngidawuvuka ngende lokho emini ngidawenda lokho ngesikhathi lesingithite ngidawuhamba ngiye ngiyobona abantwana belibanga lesithite ukuthi hlela ke lokho ke kwemsebenzi lobheke ukuthi wendiwe usengakendiwa bese ke ungake futhi utihlele ngeliviki kuthi wena ugathe ukuthi info lekale lethite utayihlela kanjani evikini ungabeka ngemalanga singemsombuluko ngidawenda lokho ngalwesibili ngidawenda lokho njalo utihlele ke ngeliviki ungaphinze ke utihlele ke ngenyanga noma ke ngeminyaka angeke ngicile kakhulu kunye nangakunye mfundzi ekhaya ngiyakubekisela nje ukuthi idiary yemsebenzi lobheke ukuthi wendiwe iyaye ihambe kanjani asichubeke ke sishakutele singadli ke isikhathi iba khona ke idiary lesithi ke lena ke mfundzi iqondzene nemuntu ngetinvo lesetendekile lolu ke lihlobo lediary ke mfundzi ekhaya ngunalo luhlobo lesitawudibana nalo la kuleli banga lethu ngilo lelivamile kuthi nje bathi asawubhale idiary ngelilanga leqala lwakho lasesikolweni yinvo leseyendekile leyo le diary lena ke niyo lesithi ke kufanele nasoyibhala ivele lemivo yakho kuthi wafika esikolweni kungilesibili ungati muntu bakuhleka abafunzi lapho khona ungena ebangeni la ka form 5 kanzwena uya ka form 1 kwangiphatha kabi ke lokho iyavela ke imivo yakho futhi ke la siyafuna ke kubona ke nemicabango yakho ngalokho lotakubhala kuthi uve kunjani encena sowume wedwa lapha ukanexile celeni kwelibonza bonke abantu beme ngababili wena sowume wedvana ucabangani so uyacabanga ukuthi encenye kube nami nangingabona lomunye lebe ngifunza naye encenye esikoleni sami la ngisuka khona sasemabangeni laphasi uveta ke imicabango yakho ke kulokubhala lokho asishakutele ke mfundzi ekhaya sibuke ke timpawu te diary ukuthi nayi le diary phela so uyayibhala sigadzeke ukuthi ibe nani idiary yakho mfundzi ayibe naso phela sihloko konke lesikubhalako lokuthi indzaba kuba nato tihloko isihloko ke se diary singahlukahlukana lele ngibekise ngayo la ngenhla ukuthi leqondzene nemuntu lesithi sitawudibana nayo kakhulu kuba ne diary asithi ubhala idiary yemalanga lamathathu lesihloko sakho utawubhala ukuthi diary yanompumelelo yeluhambo loluya eThekwini ngiyabekisa sihloko sakho leso utabe so uyasidvebela sitasibona ngale ngidawuchubeka nginikhombise ke sibonelo ke bafunzi emakhaya bese ke uyaqhubeka ke lapho mfundzi naso usibhalele isihloko sakho so ubhala ke tihlokwana lapha ke utawubona mfundzi ukuthi ngifake la kulabo labakaki bami la ngifake tihlokwana takho ungasibhala sihlokwane sikhombise lusuku njengekuthi ke msombuluko 20 ingci 2020 sihlokwana sakho leso uye elangeni lesibili uthi 21 ingci 2020 ngilesinye isihlokwane leso sesiya enzimeni njalo njalo kanti ke ngalesinye isikhathi uyayibhala ke i-diary yakho ngetikhathi encenye bathi ke bhala i-diary ngelusuku lube lunye njenganayi lesengibekise ngayo ukuthi lilanga lami lekuqala esikolweni lapho ke ugatheke ukuthi ubhale tihlokwana takho titawuba ngetikhathi lokusho ukuthi sihlokwana sakho sekuqala nje ngiyabekisa ungasho ukuthi ngensimbi yesikhombisa ekuseni uyasivebela lesihlokwana sakho so utawubhala ke la ngendasi ukuthi kwendekeni ngaleyo nsimbi leyo kwaze kwafika kwabangibani lesikhathi so uyaqhubeka ke so uya kulenye inzima nalapho sihlokwana sakhona utawusebenzisa ngesikhathi ngoba ke sengiyithintsile ke vele indzaba ke yetinzima phasi kwalesihlokwana ngisisekutaba naletinzima lapho ke kulenzima so uyabhala ke ukuthi kulelanga lakho lekuqala nangabe ukuthi insuku letinzathu uye eThekwini kwendekeni kulelanga leli nigibele ibhasi nadla lokumnanzi navula lokwa nalokwa encane ngabe niswenkile nabuka imiswengo wena weva njani ngoba lapha ngenhla sishilo phela ukuthi akuthinze lemivo yakho nemicabango yakho sifuna ukukuva ke lokho usayibhala le diary yakho lapha kuletinzima tinzima phela mfundzi khumbula phela ukuthi landzela tonke timpawu tekubhala sigadze ukuthi imisho ihambe ngabolonina bofeleba lafune kube nafeleba khona akube nafeleba kululwimi alunothe sebenzisa tisho netaga ngendlela lefanele singaqedzi ke isikhathi lesinengi ke mfundzi ake sesibone ke sibonelo sethu sibe sinye nje se diary lesithi ke yona ke yemalanga angeke ibe ngile lisuku ngitawushaktela nje ngithi bese sesiyasiphetha sifundo sethu nasi ke sihloko ke mfundzi njengoba bengichazile ngithi ke i-diary yethu ke ayibeke nesihloko i-diary yeluhambo lokuyawufunza lwesikolo sami sihloko sakho leso sidvetshelwe bese ke sithiteke bese sekuba ke nesihlokwana nasi ke sihlokwana sethu sekuqala sihlokwana bese sesilandzelwa ke inzima lo ufuneke ukunake ke mfundzi kuthi ke la phasi kwalesihlokwana asiwushiyi umuqa uvele ubhayile isihlokwana bese souyashaktela uvele ungena endzabeni ngitawufunza nje ngigijime nje ngithinzathinze lokana lokwa ngingacithi isikhathi sitokhona kubona onke lamalanga ethu lamathathu sasuka esikolweni seyishaya yagabanqa insimbi yesikhombisa kunake ke lokusilona uyasitshela basuka nini mfundzi ekhaya kumqoka phela ukuthi utifunze letikhathi ngesiswati ngoba labanye benu bese sebabhala sasuka nga7 o'clock ekseni cha mfundzi dinikete isikhathi ulalele tindzaba uve nabantu abadzala ubute ukuthi isikhathi sibhalwa kanjani ngesiswati sabhekisa ke emabombo ngithinze ke indzaba yelulwimi ngathi kumqoka ke ukuthi na ubhala lulwimi lakho alinothe phela lona uthi akakabheka ngabhala athi sahamba saya kamanzini kepha yena uthi sabhekisa emabombo engabave kamanzini nakulokuyele ngikhulume ngako ukuthi timpawu tekubhala siyadilandzela phela nangu ke manzini ukhombisa ke ligama ngisonzawo lo uqalwe ke ngafeleba lokho kumcoka mfundzi ngoba ungayibhala le diary yakho uyibhale leyo ndzaba yakho kepha nangabe le timpawu tekubhala tingasito bese lo msebenzi wakho awusavakali ukuthi mbambambamba bekuthiwani naka ke lapho mfundzi asesiqhubeke ke sishaktele lapho ke bese iyawufika kumathapha enzaweni edebuchwepheshe iscience and technology khumbula phela ukuthi uthi bayawufunza luhambo lwesikolo sakhe so uyaveda phela ukuthi bahamba baya kuphi asikunake ndloku lomunye utawubuta nje la athi naku kubhalwe isingisi mem kepha wena uthite singabhali isingisi. Sithitekele ekuqaleni i-diary yindzaba lebeka emaqiniso. Lokusho ukuthi lendzawo lena vele sinayo. Shothi ke nangabe ubhala kona uyaqamba kepha phela ungabe soyadiphoqelela ukuthi wena bese sowuguqula emagama esingisi sowafaka eSwatini ngengane ngalo ukuthi lapha sithi indzaba leveta emaqiniso. Lokhu ke kuvumelekile. Ngifake ke nalu luphawu nalu lesithi nguvula vala. Utowubona phela ukuthi lokhu kona kusingisi kepha ngikhombisa lokuthi ngiyakubona lokuthi akusilo lwimi lesiswati kepha ke ngileligama ngilifaka njengoba linjalo. Injabulo ke yacicima. Solo lapha ke lulwimi kukhombisa ke ukuthi sishito ukuthi ayivele phela imivo yakho usayibhala le diary sive ukuthi wawutiva unjani bekajabulile nebalingani bami ngoba liningi lethu asimange sesilugqobe edolobheni ayibe namfonseni lapha nje nasowula nayifunza lenzaba so uyaheheka uyafisa kufunza uthi yena bakithi ngabe kutawendekane elangeni lekuqala naba laba bathi abazange sebaligqobe edolobheni zange sebalibhathe edolobheni yibhale nje ingemaqiniso kepha phela faka lokuthi ibe mnanzi lenzaba yakho ufake leto dinvo leto letitayinonga ukuthi ifundzeke. Sikolo ke sasicashe ibhasi leyayihlala ingithela ngetinvuli kube ludzaka uma lulinile konke lokho imicabango yakhe uyavela uyayisho nale bhasi ukuthi kwakuyinyoka beyihlohla kwase kubophe kuthe kudla lokwehlukahlukene ngoba nguloyo mfundzi bekajaye ukukhomba bonzanga ingqhamu leba memendele yona ekhaya naka ke mfundzi la ngenhla bengisebenzi kulo mbhali lo ufake tisho ungabe sowuba nebulukhuni ukuthi wena tisho netaga awutati cha ke phela lulwimi lolinothile akusito tisho netaga kuphela dikhona ke dibabato dikhona ke tenda kuthi njengoba ubona la usebenzise naloko kutowenda lenzaba yakho ibe mnanzi salanyulo la ngiko ke kufika kulendzawo yetebuqwephesha lapho safunza ngetinvo letinyendi letitawuthuthukisa live la kangwane lapha uyayiqhumanisa le diary yakhe siyabona basuke ekhaya sabona basebhasini sesiyabona sebakuphi sebafikile lapho baya khona babuye ke basikhamela ke ngematoho lahlukahlukene lesingawafundzela lafaka tebuqwephesha nyalo sowusifake kuphi sowulena lapho athide baya khona eScience and Technology Park sasuka lapho bothishela basimikisa kamahala lapho ke sathengelwa khona lokuya ke ngasethunjini sadla sashaya ke senvala solo ke lapho asinake ke kuthi solo lolwimi lunothile luyangihele yamheha lofundzako lase liyotilahla ke kunina emabombo sawabhekisa ke esikolweni lesiphakeme nalapha sowusifaka kulesinye isigaba sithi phela na usabhala indzaba yakho noma leyo diary yakho akuqhumane kukhaqeke ungathi nafika edolobheni kwasuke lapho seniyadla kanti umgomo wenu ekusuke esikoleni bethi niye kuphi niye etindzaweni telivakasho niyobona ukufakile ke lo mfundzi uyigoqile lenvo yakhe inzima yakhe iyaphela nje ibonakala kahle sageza uyaqhubeka ke nasekayivala ke sekayigoqoda lenzima le sageza sayotibeka phasi angati nekuthi siqhwaga sangitumanini ngoba ngangithakase kakhulu kungalaleli iphethekile ke inzima yalona yelusuku lwakhe lwekuqala kule diary.
Kunembuto ke nompumelelo ubuya kumfundzi wakho ka form 5 uthi umfundzi ngicela kubuta ukuthi i-diary ingemivo yakho wena mbhali noma ungabhala ngalomunye.
Ngiyabonga nokwazi shothi ke i-diary iba ngemivo yakho ngiyacabanga ukuthi nokwazi emanfombatana kakhulu kulesilungu sanyalo ukhanza ukuthi unayo le diary.
Yebo.
Wena nje ngiyacabanga ukuthi wake waba nayo i-diary noma usenayo. Ubhala ngale miva yakho. Iyayisebende ukuthi nasekuphelele ilanga. So uhleli ke wedwa so uyabala ukuthi kwendekeni kulolu suku lolu. Esikhathini lesiningi ke le diary iyayisebende ke uma ngabe kakhulu tindwe tingakuhambeli kahle noma nangabe kunendvo lekuthokodise kakhulu. Uyibhala lapho ke ngemivo yakho. Laba labanye lasemaqeleni lodibane nabo kulolu suku lakho so utawubhala ngabo kube imicabango yakho yetindvo lodibonile kepha konke nje kumayelana nawe nje ngqo.
Okay, asethembe ukuthi umfundzi uphendvulekile. Nombumelelo sitawuchubeka kahle ngalinye ilanga nesifundo sethu. Unfortunately sesiphelelwe isikhathi. Mbukeli sitawubuya khona manje, sitawuya nje khefini lincane siphinde sibuye naye Lerato.
COVID-19 is an infectious disease caused by a new coronavirus introduced to humans for the first time. It is spread from person to person, mainly through the droplets produced when an infected person speaks, coughs, or sneezes. These droplets can land in the mouths or noses of people who are nearby. These droplets are too heavy to travel far in the air. They only travel approximately 1 meter and quickly settle on surfaces. This is the reason person-to-person spread is happening mainly between close contacts. The exact time that the virus can survive on surfaces is not yet known. So it is wise to clean surfaces regularly, particularly in the vicinity of people infected with COVID-19. Hands touch many surfaces, which can be contaminated with the virus. You should therefore avoid touching your eyes, nose, or mouth, since contaminated hands can transfer the virus from the surface to yourself. When coughing or sneezing, cover your mouth and nose with the bend of your elbow or use a disposable tissue. If a tissue is used, discard it immediately into a closed bin. The most effective way to prevent the spread of the new coronavirus is to clean your hands frequently with an alcohol-based hand rub or soap and water. This will eliminate the virus if it is on your hands. Stay healthy and prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Welcome back, viewers. Unfortunately, that was the last bit of our lessons today. How did you enjoy that, Lerato?
I enjoyed our lessons, especially the maths for JC. It was really interesting.
All right, for me it was Eswatini, actually, unbelievably enough, because I do not know Eswatini very well. Lerato, please remind our viewers about our social media pages, platforms.
Well, as most of you know, we have a social media page on YouTube, on Facebook, and it's live from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And please make sure to subscribe on our YouTube channel, Eswatini TV 286, so that whenever they were live, you get a notification on your phone. And Facebook, did I say Facebook?
You said Facebook.
Yes, we also have Facebook.
Just a reminder about our WhatsApp number as well. You can send through questions if you have any questions. Just another reminder, please guys, do not call us. Please text questions and we'll forward them to the teacher. Lerato, please tell us about tomorrow's timetable.
Well, tomorrow's timetable is as follows. We have Science EPC from 2 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. and then we have Literature in English for JC, which is Form 3s, from 2:30 p.m. to 3:08 p.m. and then we have Additional Mathematics for the JC learners from 3:08 p.m. to 3:46 p.m. and then we have Biology for the Form 5s from 3:46 p.m. to 4:24 p.m. and then lastly we have Religious Education from 4 p.m. from 4:24 p.m. to 5:02 p.m.
Yes, I hope the viewers got that. And just a reminder that if you missed today's lessons, they will still be available on our YouTube page. Lerato, let's say bye to the viewers.
Bye, guys.
Have a good rest of the day. Bye.